Get out of there right now.
My husband shouted, and his voice sounded frantic over the phone. Immediately after, his childhood friend arrived at our house, holding a knife.
He's mine.
She said it with a smile, and I also chuckled, pointing toward the back. Right then, her scream echoed through the room. My name is Sandra. I'm currently 31 years old and pregnant with our first child. I met my husband, Mark, through a mutual friend, and we've been married for 3 years. I quit my job when I got pregnant, but I'm considering going back to work when the child is around preschool age. For now, I'm spending my days resting, hoping to have a happy and healthy pregnancy and delivery. Currently, we live in an apartment near my husband's parents' house. While we've thought about moving once the baby arrives, we're quite happy with the reasonable rent fee and its size here. Our relationship with my in-laws is decent. We maintain a moderate distance while building a good rapport. Although it's possible that they might change once the grandchild arrives, things seem fine for now. They've been considerate of my pregnancy, bringing me food that's gentle on expectant mothers. They always inform me before visiting and ask if I need anything, which I appreciate. We considered having the baby in my hometown, but it's a 2-hour train ride away. Since it would be hard for my husband to visit after work, we decided not to. My husband is very excited about the baby's arrival. He's been studying up on postpartum care, parenting, and everything related. Since my pregnancy was confirmed, he's been actively helping with household chores, and I'm also excited to see him become a great dad. Life near my in-laws has been relatively peaceful and calm. However, there's one issue. Living close to his hometown means he has many classmates and acquaintances. While that's generally fine, there's one problematic individual. That person is my husband's childhood friend, Hannah. Despite being called a childhood friend, she's actually older, 34 years old compared to my 32-year-old husband. She's like an older sister to him, and they remain close. However, I find her difficult to handle. When we were getting married, she even came to my in-laws' house and said,
I know Mark better than anyone else.
My in-laws' house is just 3 doors away from her parents' house, where she lives, so we frequently run into each other. When my husband is around, it's not so bad, but when we're alone, she starts sharing stories about his past that I haven't even asked her about.
Mark used to cling to me all the time when we were kids. He said he'd marry me when he grew up. He hugged me and said he loved me.
I realized she was trying to one-up me, and it's hard to distance myself because she's quite persistent. What's more, she is nasty because she suddenly barges into our house without contacting us. One weekend, we were getting ready to go out, and suddenly the doorbell rang and she came into our home without asking, saying,
Hey guys. I've come to hang out.
Since we live in an apartment, I can stop her from opening the entrance door, but since I answered the intercom, I couldn't just leave her there. If that is the case, I should not answer the door, but when I ignored her, to my surprise, she came in with the delivery person. I thought my heart would skip a beat when she suddenly rang the bell next to the front door. Then on the day she comes, we find ourselves drawn, willy-nilly, into drinking at home. Of course, I'm treated like a housekeeper.
Could you buy some drinks and snacks, Sandra? Can you make something? I'm hungry.
When my husband tries to stand up to get them, saying,
I'll get some.
She was completely drunk, clings to his arm, which made me startled, and she said,
Don't leave me alone, Mark. You promised not to abandon me, remember? Have you forgotten?
Her behavior towards him is clingy like that, and he even looks uncomfortable.
You said you loved me, didn't you? After all, I've known him longer than your wife has. You should value your relationship with your childhood friend.
When did I say that?
She doesn't care even if he was left embarrassed. As expected of my husband.
Don't show up at our place without letting us know first.
However, it doesn't reach her ears either. One day, while walking near my in-laws' house with my husband, we coincidentally ran into Hannah's mother.
We're a bit troubled.
He explained, and her mother responded with a genuinely troubled expression, saying,
We're troubled too.
It seems she has trouble keeping jobs. If something bothers her, she quits immediately. Within a year, she quits job after job, and eventually, she's no longer considered for full-time positions. She reluctantly took part-time work, but that didn't last either. According to Hannah,
My boss was rude to me. A junior colleague dared to boss me around. Despite being younger, they acted so cheeky because they're my seniors.
for her, it's always the other person's fault. Also, I remember she said,
That guy flirts with me. He has a partner, but he still makes passes at me.
when she's drunk at our house, she gets nostalgic about her childhood with my husband, but what she talks about even more is how attractive herself is. Guys dig her and it bothers her apparently.
Everyone says I'm pretty and young.
She grins, but if you ask me, she looks her age. Her repeated comments are cringeworthy, making her seem older rather than younger. If I told her she shouldn't do that, then she'd probably think I was cynical or something. After all, she once said to me,
I figured out why he didn't marry me. He had a bad taste. I look younger and prettier, have a great figure, and I'm smart. I don't know what made him think you were better than me, but he must prefer imperfect women over capable ones. Now I got it.
I remember her being strangely convinced. Confident in herself, she believes that the reason she can't stick to the job is because of the environment around her. She is apparently a couch potato at her parents' house, saying,
I'll become someone big in the future.
I don't know how she can be big when she is like that, but she seems to have an unfounded confidence in herself.
I wish she'd find a job soon, or find a good partner and get married.
Hannah is in her mid-30s and her parents are quite old.
Once my husband retires, we plan to sell our house and move to an apartment that is a decent size for us.
It seems not easy to do what they plan to do with Hannah, and she sighed. Honestly, I also hope she moves out somewhere. Every time we visit my in-laws, her presence lingers, preventing my heart from resting. I'm not at ease because every time I come to my in-laws' house, her face flickers at me. Even when we went to my in-laws' house to let them know I got pregnant, she showed up. She turned up at the perfect timing, which did ring a bell with me that she must have been watching outside from her own house, saw us and flew over. My mother-in-law tried to gently refuse to let her come up to their house.
Hi, Hannah? We're kind of busy today.
But she didn't get the message and walked right in, saying,
I don't mind.
I would say it might be considered trespassing, but my in-laws wouldn't call the police. While we were dumbfounded, she snatched the ultrasound photo we'd shown them. Wait, what the? I panicked.
What the heck is this? Ultrasound photos? Gross. Gross, gross, gross. Are you trying to have a baby? You used to say you wanted to marry me, Mark. Now you are trying to have a baby with another woman. Seriously, that's disgusting.
Saying this, she tore them up.
What the heck are you doing?
Even my husband hit the roof, but it fell on deaf ears.
It's your fault, isn't it? 'Cause you cheated on me. Just dump this woman now and marry me. I'm tired of waiting. Is it okay if I marry someone else?
Come on. When the hell was that? You've crossed the line.
No matter what we say or how angry we get, she is so nonchalant, which makes me feel fear. My in-laws are also at their wits' end. Apparently, they talked to Hannah's parents at a later date. Apologizing profusely, they bowed their heads. Hannah's uncontrollable behavior is affecting everyone around her, and now that I've entered the stable period of pregnancy, my husband suggested moving.
We won't be able to raise our child in peace like this.
I nodded as if I'm for it. If the baby arrives, she will most likely make sudden visits more often. There's even a risk she might harm our baby. She might even claim the child as hers. My husband is reasonably good-looking, and he is good at his job and his income is not bad. However, he's married and her obsession with him is terrifying. I avoid going outside alone because it feels unsafe. My husband or mother-in-law helps with shopping. For prenatal checkups, one of them always comes with me. I've got some peace with it, but basically I'm living as a shut-in. It makes me feel down. Now, I need a break. I said it, and pulled out my old work tools. I quit my job, but I still want to get my old job back one day. I occasionally practice with these tools to keep my skills sharp. Just as I was about to start, my husband called. He was at work, so I wondered what was wrong. He sounded frantic.
Get out of there right now.
What's going on?
Hannah stormed into the office earlier and she asked if her husband was here.
Her husband? She means you?
Yeah, it's a pain to clear up misunderstandings when female staff and colleagues give weird looks.
What was she there for?
Today is her 35th birthday, apparently.
Is it?
She shouted she was waiting for me to propose to her, but she hasn't heard from me yet. What's going on?
Oh my God. It must have been off-putting. I wonder where she is heading to.
When I said that it wouldn't happen, then she yelled that the other woman must be annoying me. Then she stormed out of the office.
What? The one she is talking about is...
Definitely you, Sandra. She jumped into a taxi without listening to me. She's probably heading there now. I went back to get my wallet and explain to my boss, but I got stuck in traffic. It'll take a while. Anyway, Sandra, get out of there right now. If possible, find a police station or anywhere safe. Even my parents' house will do.
With that, my husband hung up. But wait, what if she arrives while I'm outside? It won't take long for her to come here from my husband's workplace. Even with traffic delays, Mark won't be that late. Maybe I should stay home? I decided to stay here waiting as I suppose it would be more dangerous to go out. I thought I'd call my husband to let him know that, and just as I picked up my phone, a ding-dong and the doorbell rang. I made a funny sound unconsciously. Although I checked to see if there was a record of an incoming call on the intercom, there wasn't. Again, she must have come through the entrance with a delivery person or another resident when they entered.
Is Sandra there?
Looking through the peephole, I saw her standing there with a beaming face. If I continued to ignore her, my husband would eventually get home. But would that be enough? Would my husband turn her away, or send her to the police station? Are we moving out? Would that solve everything? Thinking about it makes me kind of angry. No way, even though she's done so many nasty things to me, it wouldn't be satisfying to do nothing about it. Even if I cut ties with her, I'm still forever lower than her in her mind. I won't be satisfied being one up. So I turned around, prepared myself a bit, and then opened the door. Of course, I left the door chain on.
You eventually opened the door for me. Listen, Sandra, I want to make up with you.
Do you need such a thing to do that? From the peephole, I already knew, but she has a small fruit knife in her right hand. Whether it was meant as a threat or not, it was absolutely a police matter. However, I think I have to make sure she doesn't want to come here again, rather than calling the police.
Oh, this? It's just a toy.
Saying that, she put it away when watching her smirk through the gap. What do you mean by making up with me?
Well, you know what? I was called to Mark's company earlier.
You were called? I bet you barged in yourself, did you?
You know what? I was surprised when I got there. He handed me a ring and asked me to marry him. He is quite a catch to surprise me on my birthday.
Seeing her excitement with blush, I thought her imagination had gone too far to say impressive.
So he is mine. Although he got a bit lost and ended up cheating with you, I'm a woman with a big heart.
No, I'm impressed that her imagination has gone so far that it has gone beyond amazing. However, I couldn't bear to hear any more. I removed the chain and slowly opened the door. I gradually came into her view. She was looking at me with a false smiling face, but right after she saw my entire body, her face turned pale and screamed.
Eek, what's that outfit? Don't tell me that's someone's.
Oh, it's just a little something. I said it, spreading my palms. Both hands were stained a deep red. My rolled-up sleeves, my arms, and my apron were all covered in red liquid. She gasped in horror and was very pale.
What the heck have you?
I was working on something.
Working on something?
Yeah. Can you see that over there?
That?
I looked back behind me and pointed it out. She peeked out from beside my body, then immediately after.
Yikes. That's a chopped head.
She froze in horror and collapsed on the floor. Newspapers spread out on the floor were also turned red, and the thing lying on it was the back of a human head. In a situation that just looks like something out of a horror film, she was shaking and unable to move. I crouched down in front of her and brought my face close to her.
Eek.
In my right hand, I held a glittering pair of scissors, clinking them. Everyone who disturbs me gets like that. She had tears in her eyes. You see, I'm going through a crucial time. Even though I'm in a stable period, stress is a big threat. That's why I always have a break like this.
Having a break? With that?
Yes, with scissors like this. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel refreshed.
Are you crazy?
It's nothing out of the ordinary. You are also doing crazy things, like marrying my husband.
Does he know about this?
Of course he does, he always laughs and watches over me.
No way. You two are insane.
I don't need you to tell me that. Saying that, I leaned in even closer to her. Even though she burst into tears, I continued to whisper in her ear. Would you help me to let my stress out, Hannah?
Huh?
If you would, then, my husband would tolerate you.
What are you talking about?
Feel free to visit our home anytime. Each time, if you could help me relieve stress, then you're most welcome. I stepped back, clinking the scissors in front of her, squinting with a grin.
Arg.
She screamed out as if she couldn't stand anymore, and got up then staggered to her feet as fast as she could. The lift arrived just then.
Hey, Hannah.
My husband was on board at the right moment, and once again, she shouted.
Arg, there it is.
She jumped into the elevator as my husband got off. She was in a mad rush to press the button and went down to the ground floor. Phew, what a relief. Now surely she will never come again. When I made a gesture to wipe the sweat saying, it was a tough one, my husband came to me with a confused look on his face.
What the hell is this, Sandra?
It's nothing. I don't think it got on the walls or anything, but could you help me clean up this ketchup? I said it with a wry smile and he seemed to make sense and rolled up his sleeves to get it done, saying.
Oh well, let's clean them up. Sandra, the ketchup is all over the mannequin for cutting practice, though.
Oh, it's fine. That one is already quite worn out, so I was planning to chuck it away anyway. I'll have to buy a new one though.
You're really dedicated to practicing. You must love being a hairdresser.
Yeah. I have to practice, otherwise I'll lose my touch. Yes, I used to work as a hairdresser. A lot of girls go straight back to work after maternity leave, but I want to bring up my children myself until they are 3. It's good that I resigned once, but I'm worried about losing my skills. So I have several head-only mannequins at home for cutting practice. I put ketchup on them, on my hands, on my face, and on my apron. I watered them down and then it looked pretty much like that. Then if I clink the scissors for cutting, which is a must for hairdressers, I was able to mislead her just as planned. Good grief. After that, she no longer made sudden visits. She didn't even visit my in-laws either, and I spent my pregnancy peacefully. Then, our little girl arrived safely. Both mother and child were discharged without any issues, and on the evening we returned home, my husband told me about what happened to her since then.
I heard from Hannah's parents that she has always had an arrogant personality, looking down on others. It has left her with no friends, and even she's never had a boyfriend.
Well, I can kinda understand that.
For Hannah, who hasn't had either someone she liked or someone who liked her, I was her first and last guy.
Guy?
The one who said they liked her.
No way, it was when you were kids, wasn't it?
Even before entering elementary school. But she apparently remembers my confession as a young boy so unduly that it's now been stored in her uncontrollable mind, as if I confessed to her.
She went too far, didn't she?
That's why she's so fixated.
Makes sense. However, after that incident, it seems she has labeled both my husband and me as insane people.
She is apparently a shut-in now. Well, she was a neat and a shut-in back then.
He chuckled, saying it.
However, that doesn't change the fact that he came to you with a knife. Her parents have already decided to abandon her.
What do you mean?
They're selling the house as planned and will live as a couple. Of course, they won't take her with them.
They won't help, they won't take care of her, of course, and she'll have to live on her own. Her parents told her that. What about Hannah?
She was crying and screaming, and was very violent, so her parents called the police.
So she ended up getting involved with the police.
She wasn't arrested or anything, but she was so shocked and depressed that she never stepped out of her room apparently.
What are they gonna do? She won't leave the house, will she?
They are gonna forcibly clear the land, apparently. They're gonna demolish all the rooms except the one she's in for now, so she can't stay there forever.
It's a weird picture to imagine that all that's left is her room and the rest is cleared out. Later, my in-laws who came to see the baby told me that Hannah's parents' house had been completely cleared out. So she has indeed left home. Her parents had moved out while she was a shut-in, and they hadn't even told her where they live now. They left her with a small amount of money showing their love to her for the last time. After that, she never worked again and kept barging in to borrow money from all over the place. She ended up getting involved with the police again, causing trouble involving her parents and other neighbors. Since then, we don't know where she is now. I got married by fate, but I don't think there's anything wrong with staying single either. However, she probably didn't want to be single, I guess. If that's the case, what's the point of not making an effort? She clung to her childhood friend of a husband, hoping to settle with someone who was close at hand. Perhaps that's the downfall of her life. I don't know where she is or what she's doing now, but she should broaden her horizons and learn about the world. The world is a big place. I hope you will have a lot of experience, sweetheart. I whispered to my peacefully sleeping daughter in my arms. How did you like this story? Please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.